Maria stood outside the small pharmacy in the busy town. The sun was hot, and her heart felt heavy. In her hands, she held a small piece of paper with the name of the medicine her daughter needed. The pharmacy's glass door was crowded with people, and the noise of voices and footsteps filled the air. Maria took a deep breath and pushed the door open. Inside, it smelled like medicine and soap. The shelves were filled with bottles and boxes of different colors and sizes. Behind the counter, a young woman smiled politely but looked tired. Maria stepped forward and quietly asked, "How much is the medicine for my daughter?" The woman checked the price on the computer. "It will be $2.50, she said softly. Maria's heart sank. $250 was more than she had. She looked at the small bottle sitting on the counter. It was the only thing that could help her daughter feel better. But how could she pay so much money? Maria's hands trembled a little as she reached into her worn purse. She only had $50. She tried to smile, but it felt like her face was frozen with worry. "Is there any way, maybe a discount?" she asked, hope slipping from her voice. The woman behind the counter shook her head slowly. "I'm sorry, but this medicine is very expensive. The company sets the price." Maria nodded, understanding but feeling hopeless. She thought about Lily, her 6-year-old daughter, lying at home on the small bed in their tiny apartment. Lily had been sick for weeks, coughing and weak, and the doctor said this medicine was the only way to help her get better. Maria's mind raced. She had been working 2 jobs, cleaning houses during the day and waiting tables at night, but the money never seemed to be enough. Bills piled up, and every day was a struggle. Sometimes, she went without food just to save a little for Lily's needs. She looked at the small bottle again. "I will try to get the money," she whispered, but her voice cracked. She did not know how she would do it. She wanted to cry but held her tears back. "Thank you," she said quietly, then turned and walked out of the pharmacy. Outside, the world moved as usual. People hurried by, talking on their phones or carrying bags from the market. Maria felt invisible, as if her worries were invisible too. She walked slowly down the street, clutching the paper with the medicine's name. Maria stopped at a small bench near a tree and sat down. She closed her eyes and tried to imagine a better future. She thought about Lily's smile, the sound of her laughter, and the warmth of her little hand in hers. But right now, the worry in her chest was too strong. She pulled out her phone and looked at the screen. Her bank balance was almost empty. She had no one to ask for help. Her family lived far away, and many of them did not understand her struggles. Her friends were kind, but they were struggling too. Maria thought about the time Lily had been born. She remembered the joy she felt holding her for the first time. It was hard to believe how much had changed since then. Life was full of challenges, and sometimes, it felt like the weight of the world was on her shoulders alone. She wiped a tear from her cheek and whispered, "I will find a way. I have to." The sun began to set, painting the sky with orange and pink colors. Maria stood up and looked at the horizon. The world was beautiful, but it did not make her problems smaller. As she walked back to her apartment, she passed by a small park where children played and laughed. She stopped for a moment and watched them. Lily used to run and play there too, before she got sick. Maria's heart ached with the memory. At home, the apartment was quiet. Lily was resting in her bed, wrapped in a soft blanket. When Maria entered, Lily opened her eyes and smiled weakly. "Mom," she said softly, "will I get better soon?" Maria knelt beside her and took her hand. I'm doing everything I can, sweetheart. I promise. Lily nodded and closed her eyes again. Maria stayed by her side, holding her hand through the night. She prayed for strength, for hope, and for a miracle. The next morning came too fast. Maria woke up early and prepared a small breakfast for Lily. She looked at her daughter's tired face and wished she could take away all her pain. After breakfast, Maria got ready for work. She kissed Lily's forehead and said, "I love you. I'll be back soon." As she stepped outside, Maria felt the weight of the day ahead. She needed to work hard, to find money, and to never give up. But deep inside, a small spark of hope stayed alive. Maybe, just maybe, something good was waiting around the corner. The morning air was cool when Maria stepped outside her small apartment. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting soft light over the quiet street. In her mind, her worries stirred like restless waves. She thought about Lily's medicine and the heavy cost she could not afford. Every step Maria took toward work felt heavier than the last. Maria worked as a cleaner at a nearby office building. She liked her job well enough. It was honest work and gave her some money to pay the bills. But the hours were long, and the pay was low. Sometimes she felt invisible to the people she worked for, like she was just another face in the crowd. But Maria never complained. She worked hard because she had to for Lily. At the office, the day passed slowly. Maria swept the floors, wiped the windows, and emptied trash cans. The room smelled faintly of paper and coffee. Sometimes, she would hear the laughter of workers chatting during their breaks, and it reminded her how much she wanted a better life for her daughter. During her lunch break, Maria sat alone on a bench outside the building. She pulled out a small notebook from her pocket and opened it. Inside, she had written a list of ideas to find money for Lily's medicine. Each idea was crossed out: too expensive, not possible, or too risky. The last thing Maria wanted was to take any money that was not hers or to borrow from people who could not afford to lend. Maria looked around the busy street. People were walking fast, talking on their phones, or holding hands with friends. She felt a quiet sadness wash over her. She wished she could tell someone about her worries, but the truth was, she was afraid. Afraid they would judge her, or worse, not care. When her lunch break ended, Maria returned to work. She tried to push the heavy thoughts away and focus on cleaning. But the worry stayed in her heart like a quiet whisper. That evening, after her cleaning job, Maria went to a small grocery store. She bought a few simple things: bread, some vegetables, and milk. She looked at the prices carefully, trying to spend as little as possible. She wished she could buy more, but money was too tight. At home, Maria prepared a simple dinner for Lily. As she cooked, she watched her daughter sitting at the kitchen table, drawing with crayons. Lily was quiet, but Maria noticed how her face looked paler than usual. The coughing fits were less frequent now, but Maria knew it was only because of the medicine Lily needed. "Mom," Lily said softly, "when will I feel better?" Maria sat beside her daughter and smiled gently. "Soon, Lily. I promise. I'm trying my best." Lily reached out and took Maria's hand. "I want to go to the park again." Maria's heart tightened. The park was where Lily loved to run and play with other children, but lately, she was too weak. "We will go soon, I promise," Maria said, squeezing her daughter's hand. That night, Maria sat alone at the kitchen table, surrounded by bills and papers. The quiet apartment felt even quieter without Lily's laughter. She looked at the small bottle of medicine again. It was still too expensive. She wondered if she could ask the doctor for a cheaper medicine or if there was a program that could help. But she did not know where to start. Maria's mind wandered to her own childhood. She remembered how her mother always said, "When life is hard, keep going. Things will get better." But now, Maria felt lost and unsure. The future seemed dark, and the light of hope was faint. She whispered to herself, "I have to be strong for Lily." The next few days passed slowly. Maria worked extra hours whenever she could. Sometimes, she cleaned offices late into the night or took small jobs during the weekend. Every dollar she earned was saved carefully. But even with the extra work, the money was not enough. One afternoon, while walking home from work, Maria stopped by a small community center she had seen before. She peeked inside and saw people sitting at tables, talking and sharing food. There was a warmth there that Maria longed for. She stepped inside quietly, unsure if she was welcome. A kind woman at the front desk smiled at her. "Hello. Can I help you?" Maria swallowed her pride and nodded. "I'm looking for help, for my daughter." The woman's eyes softened. "You're not alone. Many people come here when they need support. Let me show you around." Maria followed her into a room where people were sharing stories and helping each other. It was a small group, but the kindness in the room was big. Maria felt something she had not felt in a long time: hope. She listened as others talked about their struggles and how the community helped them find ways to get by. Some spoke about free clinics, food banks, and programs that helped with medicine costs. Maria's heart lifted. Maybe there was a way to get help after all. The woman introduced herself as Sarah and handed Maria a pamphlet with information about assistance programs. "You should apply for these," Sarah said. "They can help cover medicine costs and other needs." Maria smiled gratefully. "Thank you," she said. "I didn't know places like this existed." Sarah nodded. "Sometimes, we all need a little help. Don't be afraid to ask." On her way home, Maria felt lighter. It was not a solution yet, but it was a step forward. At the apartment, Lily was waiting by the window, watching the street below. Maria sat beside her and showed her the pamphlet. "This might help us, Lily," she said softly. Lily looked at her mother's face and smiled. "I believe you, Mom." Maria hugged her tightly. In that moment, she realized that even in the darkest times, hope could grow like a small light inside the heart. She promised herself to never give up, not for herself, but for Lily. And with that promise, Maria felt the first stirrings of strength returning. The next morning, Maria woke before the sun had fully risen. Her mind was filled with questions and a small hope that grew quietly in her heart. After breakfast, she dressed quickly and set off toward the pharmacy again. The small bottle of medicine was still out of reach, but maybe today would be different. Maria walked carefully through the streets, the cool morning air helping to clear her mind. She remembered the pamphlet Sarah had given her at the community center. There were programs, yes, but they took time to apply and process. Lily needed her medicine now. As she neared the pharmacy, her heart beat faster. She pushed open the glass door and stepped inside. The familiar smell of medicine and antiseptic greeted her, but Maria's eyes searched for something new, a way to solve her problem. Behind the counter, the same young woman smiled softly at Maria. "Good morning. How can I help you today?" Maria swallowed her nervousness and said, "I am still trying to find the medicine for my daughter. But I don't have the money yet." The woman's smile faded a little, and she nodded with understanding. "I'm sorry. The price is fixed, and we don't have discounts. Maria looked down, feeling small and helpless. Then, from behind a row of shelves, a voice spoke. Maybe I can help. Maria turned to see a man standing there. He was dressed neatly, in a suit that looked expensive. His hair was gray at the temples, and his eyes were kind and calm. There was a quiet confidence about him that made Maria feel a little safer. My name is Mr. Collins, he said, stepping forward. I work with the company that makes this medicine. Maria blinked, surprised. She had heard of the company but never imagined she would meet someone from it. Mr. Collins continued, I understand it can be difficult to afford medicine, especially for families who are struggling. I want to help. Maria's heart beat wildly. Could this be a chance? She felt a mix of hope and disbelief. Before she could say anything, Mr. Collins smiled gently. Please don't worry about the cost. Charge it to me. Maria's mouth opened slightly, unable to find words. She looked at the bottle on the counter, then back at Mr. Collins. Are you sure? He nodded. Yes. No family should have to choose between their child's health and money. Tears welled up in Maria's eyes. She tried to hold them back, but a small smile broke through her fear. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you so much. Mr. Collins motioned for the pharmacist to prepare the medicine. As the woman wrapped the bottle in a small paper bag, Maria felt a wave of relief wash over her. For the first time in weeks, the weight on her chest lightened. Before leaving, Maria turned back to Mr. Collins. I don't know how to repay you. He shook his head. No repayment needed. Just take care of your daughter. Maria nodded, feeling grateful beyond words. When she stepped outside, the sun was higher in the sky, and the world seemed brighter. She clutched the bag tightly, feeling like she carried more than just medicine, she carried hope. On her way home, Maria stopped by the park where Lily loved to play. The children's laughter echoed in the air. Maria imagined Lily running freely, healthy and strong again. When she reached the apartment, Lily was sitting at the window, looking out with tired eyes. Maria sat beside her and held out the small bag. Look, Lily, she said softly. I have your medicine. Lily's eyes sparkled. Really, Mom? Maria nodded and smiled. Yes. Someone helped us today. Lily's smile grew, and for a moment, the room felt warm and full of light. Over the next few days, Lily began to feel better. The coughing became less frequent, and her energy slowly returned. Maria watched with relief as her daughter played quietly in the corner, coloring pictures with bright crayons. Maria never forgot the kindness of Mr. Collins. She thought about how a simple act could change a life. She began to believe that even in hard times, there were good people in the world. One afternoon, Maria decided to visit the community center again. She wanted to learn more about ways to help other families like hers. Sarah greeted her warmly and listened as Maria shared her story. You have a big heart, Maria, Sarah said. Maybe you could help others find hope, just like you did. Maria smiled shyly. The idea of helping others filled her with new energy. Days later, Maria sat at the kitchen table, writing down ideas to support families in need. She thought of all the people who struggled quietly, just like she had. The medicine bottle sat nearby, a symbol of the kindness she had received and the hope she now carried. And deep inside, Maria knew this was only the beginning of a new journey, a journey filled with hope, kindness, and the strength to keep going. The days following the kind offer from Mr. Collins brought a gentle change into Maria's life. For the first time in weeks, she felt a quiet hope stirring inside her heart. She watched as Lily's strength slowly returned, and each small smile from her daughter felt like a gift. But Maria knew the struggle was not over. The medicine was only the beginning. There were still bills to pay, food to buy, and a life to rebuild. She sat often by the window in their small apartment, looking out at the busy street below, wondering how she could make things better for her little family. One morning, Maria received a letter in the mail. It was simple, with no fancy colors or decorations, but the words inside felt like sunshine after a long storm. It was an invitation to a local event organized by the community center, where families could meet people who wanted to help and share stories of hope. Maria hesitated at first. She was shy and unsure if she belonged in such a place. But then she thought of Lily and the kindness they had received. Maybe it was time to step forward. On the day of the event, Maria dressed in her best clothes, a simple dress, clean and neat. She held Lily's hand tightly as they walked toward the community center. The building was bright and welcoming, filled with laughter and warmth. Inside, Maria saw many faces: mothers with tired eyes, fathers with hopeful smiles, children running and playing. She felt a little nervous but also curious. What stories would she hear? Would she find more help? As she moved through the crowd, Maria noticed a man standing quietly near the back of the room. It was Mr. Collins, the same man who had helped her with Lily's medicine. He smiled warmly when he saw her and nodded. Maria's heart lifted. She walked over to him, and he lowered his voice to a soft whisper. "I'm glad you came," he said. "You are stronger than you realize." Maria smiled shyly. "Thank you for helping us. You don't know how much it meant." Mr. Collins shook his head gently. "Sometimes, a small act of kindness can grow into something much bigger. That's why we do this, to help people find hope." The two of them talked for a while, sharing stories and ideas. Mr. Collins told Maria about the company's new program to support families in need, making medicine more affordable and accessible. Maria listened carefully. For the first time, she felt like she was part of something greater, a community that cared. As the event continued, Maria met other parents who had faced similar challenges. They shared their experiences, their fears, and their dreams. The room was filled with tears and laughter, pain and hope. Maria found herself telling her own story about Lily, the medicine, and the kindness of a stranger. Her voice was steady, and her eyes shone with new strength. When she finished, people clapped softly, and a woman named Sarah came to her side. "You have a gift, Maria," Sarah said. "Your story will help others find courage." Maria felt a warmth inside her chest. Maybe she could help more than just her own family. After the event, Maria and Lily walked home under the soft light of the evening sky. Lily held her mother's hand and looked up at her with bright eyes. "Mom," Lily said quietly, "do you think I will play in the park again?" Maria smiled and squeezed her hand. "Yes, Lily. Soon, you will run and laugh just like before." Lily beamed and rested her head on Maria's shoulder. That night, Maria sat at the kitchen table, writing down ideas. She wanted to start a small group at the community center to help families like hers. She wanted to make sure no one had to feel alone or afraid. The whisper of hope that had come with Mr. Collins' kindness was growing stronger. Days passed, and Maria's energy returned. She began volunteering at the community center, helping to organize events and connect families with resources. The work was hard but fulfilling. One afternoon, as she was helping set up chairs for a meeting, Mr. Collins approached her again. "You're doing wonderful work, Maria," he said quietly. "Your kindness is contagious." Maria smiled, feeling proud but also humble. "I'm just trying to help others the way you helped me." Mr. Collins nodded. "And that is how change happens, one act of kindness at a time." Maria looked around at the families gathering in the room, the children playing, the smiles on the faces of people who once felt hopeless. She knew the journey ahead would still have challenges, but now she was not afraid. She had found strength in kindness, and she would carry that strength forward for Lily, for herself, and for everyone who needed hope. As she walked home that evening, Maria felt the soft breeze on her face. The world outside was quiet, but inside her heart, a whisper of hope grew louder and clearer with every step. Maria woke early, the soft morning light spilling through the small window of her apartment. Today was special. For the first time in a long while, she did not feel heavy with worry. Instead, a quiet excitement filled her heart. The community center was hosting a gathering for families like hers, families who needed support, hope, and friendship. She gently shook Lily awake. "Today, we will go somewhere special," she said softly. Lily smiled sleepily. "Will I see my friends?" Maria nodded. "Yes, and we will meet many new people too." After a simple breakfast, they walked hand in hand through the streets, the air fresh and clean. Maria's heart beat fast as they approached the community center. The building buzzed with activity, children laughing, parents talking, and volunteers preparing food and chairs. Maria felt a warmth she had never felt before, a sense of belonging. Inside, she saw faces both familiar and new. Sarah greeted them with a big smile and led them to a circle of chairs. Mr. Collins was there too, quietly helping set up. The event began with a simple welcome. Then, families shared their stories of struggle, courage, and hope. Maria listened closely, feeling connected to the voices around her. Each story was different, but they all carried the same message: no one should face hard times alone. When it was Maria's turn, she stood and spoke clearly. "My daughter Lily was very sick," she said, "and I did not have money for her medicine. I was scared and lonely. But someone helped us. That kindness saved my daughter's life." She looked at the faces watching her. "Now, I want to help others. I want to make sure no mother or father feels the way I did, afraid and alone." The room was silent for a moment, then filled with quiet applause. Maria sat down, feeling a deep peace. She was not just a mother struggling alone anymore. She was part of a community. After the event, Maria stayed to help clean up. She felt lighter, as if a heavy burden had been lifted. Over the next weeks, Maria became more involved at the center. She helped organize food drives, medicine donations, and support groups. Her story inspired many, and soon, others began sharing their own stories of hope. One day, Mr. Collins invited Maria to visit the company's office. He wanted to show her how the new support program was working. Maria was nervous but also curious. She walked through the large glass doors into a bright, busy building filled with people working to help others. Mr. Collins led her to a meeting room where a small team was discussing plans to make medicine more affordable. Maria saw charts and pictures of families like hers. "This is the future," Mr. Collins said. "We want to reach more people, to make sure help is never far away." Maria smiled. She felt proud to be part of something bigger. "Thank you for giving me hope," she said. Mr. Collins nodded. "No, thank you for sharing your courage. It reminds us why we do this work." Back at the apartment, Maria watched Lily playing with her crayons. Her daughter's laughter filled the room, soft and joyful. Maria thought about how far they had come from fear and uncertainty to hope and strength. But life was still not easy. There were days when money was tight, and worries returned. Yet Maria faced them with a new confidence. One afternoon, as Maria prepared dinner, she heard a knock on the door. She opened it to find a young woman holding a small box. "I'm Anna," the woman said softly. "I heard about your work at the community center. I want to help." Maria smiled warmly. "Thank you, Anna. Every little help means a lot." Anna handed her the box. Inside were homemade meals and a few small gifts for Lily. Maria's eyes filled with tears again, this time tears of gratitude and hope. That night, Maria sat by the window and looked out at the city lights. She thought about the kindness of strangers and the strength that comes from community. She whispered to herself, "We are not alone. Together, we can be strong." And in that moment, Maria knew that her journey was not just about surviving but about building a new beginning, one filled with love, hope, and endless possibilities. The days grew warmer as spring slowly arrived, bringing new colors and life to the city. Maria noticed the change outside her small apartment. The trees were greener, the sky brighter, and even the air seemed lighter. But more than that, Maria felt a change inside herself. She was no longer alone in her struggle. The community center had become her second home. Every week, she met with other parents, sharing stories and helping each other. Together, they laughed, cried, and found strength in their friendship. One morning, Maria arrived early at the center. The sun was just rising, painting the sky in soft shades of pink and orange. She had a plan today, an idea that had been growing in her mind. She wanted to organize a day at the park for the children, a day where they could play freely, forget their worries, and feel the joy of being kids again. She called Sarah, who smiled and agreed immediately. "That sounds wonderful, Maria. Let's do it." Maria went to the park where Lily loved to play. The grass was fresh and green, and the trees swayed gently in the breeze. She imagined the children running and laughing, their faces bright with happiness. The next week, the community center put up flyers, inviting families to the park for a special day. Maria worked hard to gather food, games, and blankets. Volunteers, inspired by her energy, joined to help. On the morning of the event, the park was alive with excitement. Children ran around, playing tag and blowing bubbles. Parents sat on blankets, talking and smiling. Maria watched as Lily ran freely, her laughter ringing like music. Mr. Collins arrived quietly, carrying boxes of snacks and water bottles. He greeted Maria with a warm smile. "You have created something beautiful here." Maria blushed. "It's the work of everyone. Together, we can do more." As the day went on, Maria saw something special: strangers becoming friends, parents finding comfort in shared stories, and children creating memories free from worry. She felt a deep peace in her heart, knowing that kindness had created this moment. Later, as the sun began to set, Maria sat on a bench with Lily in her lap. Her daughter was tired but happy. "Mom," Lily said softly, "thank you for today. I love playing with my friends." Maria hugged her tightly. "Me too, Lily. This is only the beginning." The park day became a regular event. Families looked forward to it, and the community grew stronger. One evening, Maria received a phone call. It was from a woman who had heard about her work. She offered a small grant to support the community center's programs. Maria was surprised but grateful. The money would help buy more medicine, food, and supplies for families in need. She knew the road ahead would still have challenges, but with support and kindness, they could face anything. Back at home, Maria sat by the window, writing in her notebook. She made a list of new ideas, ways to help, ways to grow. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock. Lily came running in, holding a drawing she had made. "Look, Mom," she said proudly. The picture showed a bright sun, happy children playing in the park, and a smiling mother holding her daughter's hand. Maria smiled and kissed Lily's forehead. "It's beautiful, sweetheart." That night, as she looked at Lily sleeping peacefully, Maria whispered a promise. "I will keep fighting for you, Lily. Always." And deep inside, Maria felt the quiet power of hope, a power that grew stronger when shared. The kindness that had once saved her daughter was now a flame lighting the way for many. Together, they were building a future where no one had to be afraid or alone. A future filled with love, courage, and the simple joy of a child's laughter in the park. Spring was in full bloom now, and the city felt alive with new energy. Maria's small apartment was filled with laughter once again, mostly from Lily, who was now healthy and strong. The medicine had worked, and with each passing day, Lily's smile grew brighter. But Maria knew that their story was about more than just her daughter's health. It was about kindness, hope, and the power of community. It was about how one small act could change many lives. One bright morning, Maria received a letter in the mail. The envelope was thick and official looking. She opened it carefully and began to read. It was a letter from the company where Mr. Collins worked. They were inviting Maria to a special event, a celebration of the new program to help families afford medicine. Maria was asked to speak about her experience and the difference it had made. She felt a mixture of pride and nervousness. Speaking in front of a crowd was not easy for her, but she also knew how important it was. This was a chance to share her story and inspire others. When the day came, Maria dressed in her best clothes and held Lily's hand tightly. Together, they entered the large hall filled with people, company workers, families, community leaders, and friends. Mr. Collins greeted her with a warm smile. "You have a beautiful story, Maria. The kind that changes hearts." Maria smiled shyly. She stood on the stage, her heart beating fast, but she remembered the many times she had felt alone and afraid and the moment someone helped her. She spoke clearly about the struggles she faced, the fear of not being able to afford medicine, and the kindness of a stranger who had changed everything. She told the audience about the community center, the families she had met, and the hope they shared. When she finished, the room was silent for a moment, then filled with applause. Maria felt tears in her eyes, but they were tears of joy. After the event, many people came to talk to her. Some wanted to volunteer, others wanted to share their own stories. Maria realized how far her journey had come. On the way home, Lily asked quietly, "Mom, do you think we helped other kids like me?" Maria looked down at her daughter and smiled. "Yes, Lily. Because of you, many children will get the help they need." Days turned into weeks, and Maria continued her work at the community center. The program grew bigger, reaching more families every day. One afternoon, as Maria was closing the center, Mr. Collins appeared once more. "I wanted to thank you," he said softly. "Not just for your courage, but for your heart. You have helped build something special here." Maria shook her head gently. "It's all of us, together." Mr. Collins smiled and handed her a small box. Inside was a plaque with her name and a simple message, "For kindness, courage, and hope." Maria felt overwhelmed. She held the plaque close and whispered, "Thank you." That night, Maria sat beside Lily, watching her sleep peacefully. The soft light of the moon filled the room. She thought about their journey, the hard days and the kind strangers, the worry and the hope. Maria made a promise to herself and to her daughter. She would keep helping others. She would keep sharing kindness. Because she had learned that kindness was not just a feeling. It was a choice. A powerful choice that could change lives one small act at a time. As the city outside quieted for the night, Maria felt a deep peace. She knew that no matter what challenges came next, they would face them together. With hope in her heart and love by her side, Maria and Lily were ready for whatever the future held. And the promise of kindness whispered quietly in a busy pharmacy, carried through a small community, and shared by many would continue to grow. A promise that no family would have to face hardship alone. A promise that kindness can change the world.